we not only have the most beautiful graduating class, we have the loudest. So, welcome. My name is Juana Maria Rodriguez, and for the last 3 years, I've had the honor of being chair of this historic department, and it gives me immense pleasure to welcome all of you into our ethnic studies community. I want to give a shout out to this amazing keyboard player, Osha Savage, who has been playing keyboard for graduations for 25 years. Thank you so much. Woo! Now, the Ethnic Studies Department recognizes that UC Berkeley sits on the territory of the Huichen, the ancestral and unceded lands of the Chochenyo Ohlone, the successors of the historic and sovereign Verona Band of Alameda County. This region continues to be of great importance to the Muwika Ohlone tribe and other familial descendants of the Verona Band. We recognize that every member of the Berkeley community has and continues to benefit from the use and occupation of this land since the institution's founding in 1868. By offering this land acknowledgement, we affirm Indigenous sovereignty and our special role as ethnic studies scholars to hold the University of California more accountable to the needs of American Indian and Indigenous people. Now, graduation is my very favorite time of year. It's an opportunity to celebrate the creativity, perseverance, and intellectual imagination of these outstanding ethnic studies graduates. And for the first time in 3 years, it's also a chance for me to meet all of the special people, parents, partners, the nanas and the popos and the yayas that form our extended kin. It's also been a really rough 3 years. So today, I also want to send love and light to the ancestors and to the beloveds that we have lost along the way. Their spirit shines in you. The graduating class today, let's go ahead and call them the COVID class of 22, right? Somehow found a way to attend classes, turn in papers, finish exams, and just keep going. But they did more than that. They learned to support one another and their communities in big and small ways, organizing food drives, creating inspiring podcasts, reimagining museums, interviewing their elders, and so much more. They showed up for the work of learning to make the world better for themselves and each other. And for that, they deserve our utmost praise and admiration. We are all so proud of you. Yes. Truly, it has been tough, let me just say. Today, I also get to extend a most heartfelt thank you to the most dedicated student advisors on this campus, Dewey St. Germain and Laura Jimenez Olvero. And all of our outstanding staff, Sandy Richmond, LaTanya Miner, Lanny Hunter, Charisse Dyer, Jeannie Imazumi, our dedicated librarians, and all of our support staff. They keep making the impossible possible, and none of us would be able to shine without their dedication, care, and support. And of course, I want to recognize the outstanding faculty, lecturers, and graduate students that make learning and discovery happen in our ethnic studies classrooms every day. Each has played a special role in helping these graduates arrive at this moment. And on their behalf, I thank all of you for the ways you've helped, supported, and inspired them. Today, we'll be hearing from a range of speakers, hearing a little bit more about some of the exceptional accomplishments of our students, and conferring degrees in ethnic studies, Asian American and Asian diaspora studies, Chicanx and Latinx studies, and Native American studies. And my last, that's my job, my term as chair is almost done, and as my last official duty, my job is to keep the program going. So let's get started. I'm going to start by introducing our graduation speaker. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for today's graduation, Dr. Reverend Trinity Ordoña. Dr. Reverend Ordoña is a Filipina-American lesbian, veteran community organizer, retired instructor in LGBTQ studies, and an ordained minister who today works in the healing arts to help survivors recover from trauma and abuse. Trinity has a 55-year history of civil rights activism in people of color, women's, and LGBT communities in local, national, and international arenas. Her activism in both the Asian American community and the LGBTQ community has been truly transformative, helping to heal the wounds of homophobic and transphobic rejection. Today, 70% of the Asian American community supports same-sex marriage, higher than any other racial group in the United States. That simple fact, yes. That simple fact is due to the activism of people like Trinity Ordoña. Spirituality to bring us her talk entitled Healing and Solidarity for Love and Justice. Trinity.
Thank you very much. I'm going to try and also find a way to face the students because, you know, in I envisioned it, you're there, but you're behind me. But, you know, I grew up in a family of 13, and you have to learn how to get all into the car together. So that means people sit in the trunk too. So you're not in the trunk, almost, but first of all, I'd like to begin by thanking Dr. Rodriguez and the faculty for inviting me to speak on this auspicious occasion. And I want to say that for me it is really a great honor. And I also want to then take a moment and ask everyone for a moment of silence to not only acknowledge the land that we stand on, but that the killings continue, and for a moment of silence to the mass killing deaths in Buffalo of Black people, and last week in Orange County of Asian people. So just take a moment. You always need a child to remind us that we're still in the world. Thank you for that little one out in the audience. Also, like everyone else, I want this time, however, for the group here to stand up and show your love to the faculty, staff, family, and friends who helped you get here, because we know that they wouldn't be here without you guys. So. Yeah, Thank you. You deserve more than that, but you may not get the paper diploma, but this was for you. Okay, so now to all the ethnic study undergraduate and graduate students who've completed their degrees for baccalaureate or doctoral degree, let's give them all a big round of applause. You have filled your minds and hearts with the missing stories of people of color in America. This vital knowledge has been systematically excluded, not only in your own individual education, but sadly, in all American education, from preschool all the way up through and including college. So I both applaud you and I envy you, because when I got my degree in 1973 in Asian American history, and I made that up through independent studies at Berkeley, it was before ethnic studies was very, very developed. So we were basically students teaching ourselves. But, and furthermore, I did not get my PhD in ethnic studies from UC Berkeley. I didn't get accepted. I did my doctoral work in history of consciousness at UC Santa Cruz. But in both cases, ethnic studies was foundational in my education and life as an academic and activist. It was in ethnic studies where my mind and heart opened literally. Before, and I was always a serious student, I could not speak a full sentence out loud. And despite hours and hours of reading and studying, I couldn't understand what they were really talking about. Though my other college classes taught me politics and taught me about imperialism, racism, it was only in ethnic studies where these concepts were spoken from the voice and the heart and the life of us, the colonized and marginalized. And so what happened is my mind unscrambled and my tongue untied because the teachings rang true inside. I did not feel like a bug under a microscope or a distant star being looked at through a telescope. Ethnic studies opened the insider door, and I joyously walked through and never looked back. These liberating insider viewpoints have been a guiding light through all my teaching and healing careers. So, as ethnic studies graduates, know that you too are equipped to bring these liberating truths to all the people in your life. Family, friends, co-workers, students, in America and the public at large. Why? It is absolutely necessary for the healing of the broken minds and hearts of this country and the world. So, it's so good to see so many of you when there was just so few of us not that long ago. So, thank you. And for those who will receive their doctoral degree in ethnic studies, these two here, I have a special message for you. And also, this is to encourage others to go on to your graduate degree, because we've all heard the idea that education is key to success. But I'm here to tell you that a doctoral degree in ethnic studies teaches you how to make your own keys. In fact, when you come to a wall, you just make a door and you walk right through. You are no longer a sorcerer's apprentice. You are a sorcerer. Why? You want to know why? Because after years of concerted and focused research, you unearthed some of the hidden treasures of truth of the lives of people of color. Not only putting the pieces together, but most importantly, you analyzed, compared, and in most cases, intellectually and creatively put together intersectional and decolonial frameworks to explain it, to explain the what, how, and why. Furthermore, making these interconnections and interrelationships is itself an intellectual production of social, cultural, and political solidarity. So thank you. Thank you for the work you've done and the work you will do. Like your fellow undergraduate scholars, you also have a special task at this time of perceived great conflict, despair, and fear. And I say perceived because it all has to do with how you look at a situation. So, first of all, your work points the way forward. Why? Because you know deeply and clearly, after studying it and studying it and studying it, you know why. In my own dissertation research, I wanted to know why people of color, including Asian lesbians, organized in the 1970s based on separatism. I knew this was a fact because that was the life and organizing work I did myself on the ground as an on-the-ground activist. But Professor Angela Davis, who was on my thesis committee, kept asking, why? Why? So 2 years later, I actually traced the origins of the race, gender, and sexuality dynamics, conflicts, and eventual splits in SNCC, which was the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And out of this brouhaha emerged the self-empowerment mass movements of people of color, women, gay people, and the anti-war, environmental, and counterculture movements of the 70s and 80s. So, like me, your graduate research was a process where you taught yourself how to think originally. How else could you get past the muck of the lies, distortions, and deceits? You got the underlying truths through intellectual creativity. And now others can learn from you too. So, you are game changers, turning confusion into clarity, and many times revealing the crimes buried underneath. A recent example, last week, the federal report on Indian boarding schools revealed rampant and horrific abuse, including the deaths of hundreds of thousands of children. The purpose? Now I'm going to quote from the actual report. The federal Indian boarding school policy was intentionally targeted at American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian children to assimilate them and, consequently, take their territories, unquote. Again, definite proof of a truth we've always known, but out of love, we tell the truth. But in the face of revealed truths like these, there is also a strident reassertion of the racist, sexist, and homophobic defense of white male supremacy. Yes, by an outsized but vocal minority. But let's understand this too. What fuels the backlash and pushback is the perceived fear of revenge. They even voiced that fear. Remember the white nationalist banner at the Charlottesville Unite the Right rally 2017? Big letters, "You will not replace us." And they shouted it back and forth, back and forth. Do not let fear distract you. Again, do not let fear distract you. Remember this time-old Taoist teaching. When rocks are thrown at you, waiting is of no help. Wailing is of no help. Stop complaining. Instead, take leadership and move with actions that serve the long run. And when I mean the long run, I mean not just tomorrow or next year, but for the generations to come. After all, like Janelle Monáe proudly sings, got a new agenda. With a new dream, I'm kicking out the old regime. Listen to it. Liberation, elevation, education. She says it all. Turn, tables turn. It's happening now. Rejoice in that, because it's happening. And we are part of the tide, and we are moving with the tide. But we also have to know that it takes time. Entire societies do not change by a hard, sharp turn to the left, although that's what my generation thought that's what it would take. But we are really asking for human social transformation. That is what is required. All life is interconnected. It always has been, but we have only recently come to realize the breadth and depth of that truth. So, what to do? To be honest, that's really your question, what to do. The answer, from the years of organizing and all my efforting, number 1, 2, 3, all of them, look inside. What is inside is created outside. It's not the other way around. Now, really, you already know this. What led you to study ethnic studies in the first place? A book, a speaker, maybe you were drawn to the field. But whatever means, who was inside you that received the reading? Listen to that speaker or follow that impulse. Who was it? It's your immortal, timeless, all-knowing spirit. Spirit resides in each of our bodies. As my Filipino and Native American friend, Morningstar Van Sil, taught me, quote, "We are spiritual beings on a human journey." And now that human journey is at an important juncture. We are about to leap up and be the compassionate, humane human beings we are. Though not everyone will leap, just as the Charlottesville demonstration showed you. But remember this, they are doing their job, meaning their job was to show us what not to do. So, after 500 years since the first colonization of the Americas, guess what? We are still here. We are still here because we love life. And today, the polarizations we are experiencing is the desperate, fear-driven call to turn back the tide, to go back to the familiar systems of domination. But your spirit already knows the answer. You can feel it in your hearts. The arc of justice has already bent. The tide has already turned. And it is too late to close the borders because we've been here all along. So, but what's different is that now we are standing up, we are speaking out, and we are moving forward, but with confidence and clarity. Coming, and this is what we all hoped for 50 years ago, and now we're here. Furthermore, the really good news is that going back to our roots also means we are reconnecting to our ancient wisdom teachings and teachers. So we are not only well equipped, but we are not alone. And with each step, guided by the spirit vision that brought us here, we know that it's never been about revenge. It's all for love and justice. As Grace Lee Boggs said, A revolution that is based on the people exercising their creativity in the midst of devastation is one of the greatest historical contributions of humankind. And one last tip, remember, those who have eyes will see, those who have ears will hear. And if they don't see, they don't hear, they don't. This is the cosmic purpose of the polarization, meaning the divisions have always been here. This is no surprise to us, but now it is evident, so evident that you cannot not see it. Let this truth set you free of fear. So in closing, I do want to say that despite the complexity of the challenges we face, I believe the journey we are on is not so difficult and unwieldy. Continue to be rooted in a commitment to the life of the people and trust. We are not alone. The earth that we stand on, Mother Earth, is alive, and she knows what she is doing. She is growing, adapting, and changing. So must we. Lastly, remember the advice offered by the Menominee Two-Spirit poet Christos. Take nothing you cannot return. Give to others. Give more. Walk quietly. Do what needs to be done. Give thanks for your life. Respect all beings. Simple. And it doesn't cost a penny. Thank you.
Thank you, Trinity. I knew I chose a terrific graduation speaker, so thank you so much for that beautiful and inspirational address. I now turn to introduce the first of two student speakers, Meetup Khalsa, and the title of her speech is Onward with Courage.
Thank you for the introduction. Hello, graduating class of 2022. Give ourselves a round of applause. And to my friends and family, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you to staff, faculty, students, administration, family, and friends that are here today. These past few years have allowed us to flourish academically, but most importantly, to persevere emotionally as unique individual beings. All of us young scholars have complex lives and responsibilities to ourselves and our communities. I'm sure when people ask us what we're majoring in, they say, ethnic studies, what's that? With a blank stare. It's as if people forget that there's non-STEM majors at Berkeley. All of us have had sleepless nights for our exams, hurrying to organize the next protest on Sproul Plaza, getting our friends together to support our causes, and reminding everyone that we're better than Stanford and UCLA. There are many core memories of our time here at Berkeley that will last a lifetime. Who knew that after so many boba drinks and studying on the 4th floor of Moffitt that we'd get here? One of the core tenets of ethnic studies and its theory is resistance to all forms of oppression. For this, it takes courage. Our undying dedication to our communities will strengthen the roots of collective care and compassion for activism, for staying committed to our causes even when it gets difficult. These past 2 years specifically were one of the toughest our generation has faced. As young intellectuals, many of us come from various backgrounds. It's important to recognize that many of us are immigrants, first generation, undocumented, political asylee individuals, families who've escaped persecution and were confronted with a foreign place, 2 years of pandemic isolation and being separated from one another. All of these aspects weigh heavily on our shoulders. My fellow classmates, I recognize all of you and your unspoken struggles. I recognize the silent uphill battles you've faced to get where you are now. You are worthy of the utmost happiness in this precious life. It takes courage and compassion for our dear, fragile hearts. We've climbed the void together and made it through a brighter side. This is no simple accomplishment. It took an immense amount of spiritual and emotional power to make it here at this exact moment. My experience in ethnic studies was quite eye-opening. Throughout my research, I was able to discuss historical importance through a Sikh Punjabi perspective. Ethnic studies gave me the opportunity to introduce the concept of Khalistan, a Sikh homeland for sovereign Sikh identity for the people of Punjab. I'm grateful to have given space to speak on matters that mean to me. A quote I'd like to share with you all is from Sant Jarnail Singh Khalsa Bhindranwale, a 20th century Sikh activist and leader. So long as we have the spirit of love, is there any power on earth that can subdue us? We must continue to promise ourselves that we give ourselves to a righteous cause as ethnic studies scholars, being that our department was founded from historical grassroots descent. We've jumped through many hurdles together. Courage is not absent without fear, but knowing we're afraid and still trying is the first step of reaching our goals. To all of our wonderful students from the Asian American Asian Diaspora Studies, Chicano Studies, Ethnic Studies, and Native American Studies, thank you for being here. I'm glad we're all here together in these pivotal moments of our accomplishments. Thank you to my Ethnic Studies advisor, Mr. Germain and Ms. Olvera. You've continued to advocate for my education. Without your guidance, I would not be where I am today. From the bottom of my heart, I wish you all the very best. I leave you with a quote from one of our magical professors. Happiness can be found in the darkest of places, if only one remembers to turn on the light. Thank you all. Congratulations, class of 2022.
Thank you so much for that touching address. Now, I get to introduce our second student speaker, Maria Cristina Ortiz, and her speech is titled, A Burst of Light.
Welcome to all friends and family who are here physically present with us, and those who are joining in virtually, and to those, and to those who are joining us from beyond. I don't know about you guys, but it feels kind of weird to be here. These last few years, graduation felt so far, and like many of you, I was more worried about making it to class by Berkeley time than to think too much ahead. Nonetheless, I'm grateful we have arrived at this moment, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about how I got here. My great-grandmother was a partera, a midwife. In times where poverty was rampant and hardship was the norm, she got to connect with families in our rancho and the neighboring towns in the most special way. She helped bring life into a world that too often felt devoid of it. Although I never had the privilege of meeting her, my summer trips to my family homeland were filled with stories of her and countless other relatives who, through their own unique talents and skills, filled the lives of others with joy, with laughter, with life, and with light. As ethnic studies practitioners, I view our work as an embodiment and extension of this project. We get to bring narratives, skills, histories that are too often pushed aside, swept under the rug, and silenced back into light. We get to bring life into our classrooms, into academic discourse, and to the world around us. Our departments as practice were designed to do this. Its genesis is rooted in a collective desire to break from Western, colonial, and imperial traditions, to make space, it is brought into the, to make space in all aspects, to bring life into more equitable and more just, and more importantly, in ways that are more reflective of the world in which we are existing in. It's affirmed what many of us knew from our communities and ancestors, and our learned teachings, that we are each other's cultivators. Our investment in one another is not transactional nor selfish. It is self-sustaining. It's a collective care. Damn, I'm trying not to cry. It is because It is because we know that we are each other's harvest, and our fruits are for one another. We create to uplift, to honor, to center our labor, which is ultimately connected with our personal and therefore is necessary to one another. We create bursts of light because we know how deeply they are needed by us and by others in the world. So as we prepare to take our final steps before transcending into whatever great things are ahead of us, it feels right to acknowledge the shoulders of the giants on which we stand. Though there are many, I'd like to remind us of some, and the lessons that these radical scholars, provocative thinkers, and beloved comrades of ours have contributed to our grammar books and toolkits, which we are so eager to implore in the outside world. Roderick Ferguson's work, We Demand the University and Student Protest, tells us that when institutions say yes, that is also a moment of jeopardy, reminding us that regardless of how liberal the exterior veneer of an institution may appear, they lack moral consciousness. And it's on us to ring the bell and answer its call to action, to show up for community causes, to not cross picket lines, and to transform spaces. And we do. And it's only a plus that we get to miss class sometimes. Yuri Kuchiyama, survivor of Japanese internment camps, opened her apartment in Harlem, collectively reminding us that it's crucial to the furtherance of knowledge and projects, and that sites outside of the collective university walls in order to move forward. So shout out to professors like Victoria Robinson that take us places like Planting Justice. Yeah. That take us to places like Planting Justice, where we get to learn about the production of healing and sustenance surrounded by greenery instead of giving another hour of our lives to Dwinell Hall. Or to professors like Pablo Gonzalez for throwing at us the production of a podcast in Adobe Audition and then publishing our work. Sorry in advance to anyone who hears the bloopers at the end of mine. We are our own best teachers, the best students, and our relatives. In There, Tommy Orange reminds us that all the stories that we have been telling this time, that we have been listening to, are just part of what we need to heal, reminding us that unearthing these narratives is not only necessary, but it's not enough. We must collectively pursue discomfort, because this is how epistemic ruptures occur. Shout out to professors like Jesus Barraza for teaching us how to screen print intimate vignettes, intimate vignettes of our lives and our histories, allowing us to heal through art. And lastly, in this benighted nation we name home, Cherie Moraga implores a philosophical question upon us. Where is your work? Reminding us that the knowledge banks that we have accumulated here are no good if we don't deliver it to those who are capable of transforming this benighted nation we still dare to name home. So keep podcasting, keep TikToking, keep making art, keep making music, and keep creating these bursts of life. It's been such an honor to share space with all of you these last few years. May we remain dedicated to the praxis of care and continuing to bring stories, songs, and bursts of light into this world. Thank you.
Wow. Could we have another round of applause for those two amazing? I love that line when she said, you are your own best teachers, and as a professor, I just learn from my students every day. So thank you for all that you teach us. Now, ethnic studies students are not just brilliant, they're also some of the most creative people I know. And here to share a spoken word piece titled College in 3 Acts is Zoe Camille Keeler. Zoe?
Hello, okay. 1. My mother sits across from me at a Vietnamese restaurant on the south side of Fort Collins, drinking jasmine tea and answering my questions about her life. I never used to be able to see my mother as a young woman, but she was once. She pours stories from the kettle of her life into my hands, and I can smell the jasmine flowers in her hair at her confirmation, taste the condensed milk she dips strawberries in. She tells me about North Carolina. She tells me about Manila. She tells me that when I meet the right person, I'll know. She sips her jasmine tea, voice cracking, and I keep all the memories clutched tightly in my arms like puzzle pieces. Sometimes she stops whatever she's doing to say, I hope I get to see you graduate college. Well, Mom, here we are. I want to say thank you for Jasmine Tea, for Sunday afternoons, for the stories and advice I often ignore, for repeating yourself as many times as it takes for me to listen, for being here with me and loving me always. 2, they were always asking us, what do you want to be? 5th grade career day, high school reflection essays, slap a label on your future, they said, pointing a finger to the horizon. Do you see it? It was always about the future. Standardized tests melted into PSATs and ACTs, and school was never about school, it was about where school could take you. And when they asked you what you wanted to be, they meant, what do you want to make, wear, buy, eat, drive? If you dreamed it, you had to work for it. High school became college, and college became a competition to see who could stretch themselves thinnest. This is not an education, it's a degree. It's a ticket to a salary with benefits. That's what they taught us, right? To escape, leave, flee the places we are from, to seek more for ourselves than what we give to others, to spend a lifetime running from the womb of the present. Berkeley is not a place, it's a name. It's a network. It's a fast track to the future, to a future filled with sake bombs and promotions, electric cars and work retreats, salaries and benefits, and crisp white-collar shirts so bright they blind us. But what happened to the dreams we had as children? To naming our own constellations and building forts with spare bed sheets. When I tell people I'm graduating, they still ask me what I want to be, as if what I already am, what we already are, is not extraordinary. So, so hold your roots close to your heart and don't forget the way home. 3, I stand at my kitchen table, bare feet bottoms pressed against the chair. White noise fills the empty house. Half yesterday's lecture, half my mother over FaceTime, and I marinate in the concerto of meaningless sound. A 64-pack of Crayola-colored pencils and a blank page on the table in front of me, and I can feel my palms itch like they did in kindergarten. When hatching caterpillars and painting rainbows-filled afternoons, before lines can find the colors to mass-produce pictures, I got a C- in handwriting. But my kitchen knows no rules, and Octavia Butler once said something like, we must not let God shape us, we must shape God. So I let the colors blend into each other like Monet's Woman with a Parasol, like a dream I've had 6 nights straight, of a world where the sun doesn't set until I want it to, and the soft light of a Sunday afternoon caresses gold and purple poppies. In the dream, we don't have homework, or deadlines, or Slack notifications, performance evaluations, exams, papers, GPAs, grades. We have a vegetable garden. We don't commute to jobs we merely tolerate or compete for a living wage or lose sleep over OChem, and the only translucent orange pill bottles hang from the porch like a wind chime. There's a crossword on the doorstep and enough time to finish it because there are no watches, no alarm clocks or calendars, time cards or applications. The bank account is just the backyard, growing fennel and thyme, my assets, a few poems, and a pair of overalls. Insurance is knowing I don't have to break, bruise, bleed my body for shelter and food, and knowing that's never going to change. In this world, Black and brown people enjoy the full rights of citizenship, or better yet, the entire idea of citizenship is discarded because flesh is more precious than documents, and unlawful residence is just another way to say American history. I'm imagining a future where they never taught us to paint ourselves inside the lines. My high school guidance counselor once said something like, you can't romanticize your life away, but the way our edges blur into velvet begs to differ. I imagine someplace soft like satin sheets where I lie, pressed into her chest so tightly she becomes the air I breathe. No anxieties, no social pressure, no ladders of success, no future. Just one moment, then the next. I draft us without compromise in a world where summer bounces off the walls, fills every room with the smell of jasmine tea, and never leaves.
We didn't bring tissues. And my mascara's gonna run. Thank you so much. That was so beautiful. That was so beautiful. To every mom. Okay, now we turn to the awards portion of our program, where we celebrate some truly exceptional work. But first, I want to acknowledge another very special prize awarded to the most beloved and dedicated member of our illustrious teaching faculty, Dr. Pablo Gonzalez. This year, Pablo was awarded UC Berkeley's Distinguished Teaching Award. This is, yes, the very highest honor awarded to teaching faculty at this institution, over 1,000 people. This award honors teaching that incites intellectual curiosity in students, inspires innovative pedagogical innovation in colleagues, and makes visible the relationship between the academy and the world. We are so lucky to have Pablo, and now I get to call him up to the stage and have him read the names of the honor students. Let's give it up for Pablo.
I'm not the one supposed to be crying, right? Yeah. So, partly, if you don't know what goes into completing an honors thesis, it is a whole year of dedication of producing your own research project, writing it. It's a very solitary project, but I think it creates all that we inspire in our students to try to recover, create. And I'm so deeply proud of them. They all presented their work recently, and it was just amazing and awe-inspiring. So what I will do is read out the names of those who received honors in our department and in our different programs. If you are here, please stand up when I call your name. Ashley Ayala Mendoza in Chicanx and Latinx Studies. Camila Itzel Ceja in Ethnic Studies. Genesis Lisette Chavez, Ethnic Studies. Daniel Cosmes Aguilar, Ethnic Studies. Aisvarja Isi, Ethnic Studies. Michaela Malonzo Gomez, Ethnic Studies. Stephanie Gutierrez Rios, Chicanx and Latinx Studies. Capri Krug, Ethnic Studies. Marcela Lacayo, Ethnic Studies. Manuel Morales, Chicanx and Latinx Studies. Maria Cristina Ortiz, Ethnic Studies. Kenny Italo Purizaga Orejuela, Ethnic Studies. Whitney Roeder Utapea, Ethnic Studies. Jaywan Sim, Ethnic Studies. Hernan Soto Acevedo, Chicanx and Latinx Studies. And then finally, Annette Tamayo, Ethnic Studies. A round of applause to these amazing scholars.
Okay, thank you, Pablo, and congratulations to all of those students who completed a senior honors thesis on time. Yeah. Now, I'd like to write, was it on time, Pablo? Just a couple extra days late, it's okay. We have a little wiggle room. Now, I'd like to call up to the podium Professor Lok Su, chair of our Community Relations Committee. And she's gonna help me present a few additional departmental awards. So, Lok. Okay. So, the first award is the Carlos Munoz Jr. Activist Scholar Award. And this award is being presented to Elijah Chum. Elijah is a returning student who came to Berkeley with a background in film studies and film production and has produced truly outstanding work. His community commitments are equally exceptional. Thank you so much. Congratulations. The next award is the Asian American and Asian Diaspora Studies Student Achievement Award, and that goes to Yi Chen Lu. And Yi Chen Lu is truly exceptional in every regard, and this award recognizes all she has done to advance AGS and ethnic studies, including serving as the chief editor of Berkeley's Asian American Research Journal and as the archival coordinator for the AAPI Community COVID Archival Project, and a bunch of other stuff. Next up is the Ling Wang Community Empowerment Award, and that very special award goes to Yi Chen Lu and Su Sei Chow for their role in developing the AAPI Community COVID Archive Project. Over the course of a year, these students worked with others to solicit, encourage, collect, and generate essays, poems, narratives, interviews, and visual documentation to capture in real time how COVID was impacting their communities. The next award is a university-wide award named in honor of Korean artist and Berkeley alum Teresa Cha. And it is intended to recognize outstanding creative achievement. This year, we have two honorees, Gung-ho Mu and Hana Estolano. Gung-ho impressed his professors with his keen interest in learning about the marginalization of Hmong community in the Central Valley. And rooted in concerns of social justice, his interest in understanding the experiences of Southeast Asian refugees transplanted in rural California helped deepen his analysis of U.S. colonialism abroad and at home. The second recipient is Hana Estolano, a community college transfer. I was a community college transfer student, so yeah. Who is also a double major in English. Hana distinguished herself by her outstanding written work, her insightful contributions, and the seriousness with which she approached class obligations. She brings the same focus to her work as executive director with Magenda magazine, a student-run academic publication focused on literature and art. So congratulations, Hana. Have a few more. The next prize is from the Chicanx Latinx program, and that is the Patricia Rodriguez Arts Award, given to a student for extraordinary accomplishment in the arts. And that award goes to Stephanie Gutierrez Rios. In recognition of the powerful, moving, and beautifully scripted work that she did for a podcast called The Soul Wound. I also want to recognize two other students who are not in attendance today, Margarita Rodriguez Valadez, who receives the Norma Alarcón Humanities Prize in recognition of her intelligence, her literary sensitivity, and her exquisite writing, and Angelica Garcia, a rising junior who has shown great promise and growth in her critical thinking skills, writing, and delivery. She exemplifies all that the Mario Barrera offered at UC Berkeley when it comes to media arts as a podcast engineer and producer. Finally, yes, thank you to all of them. Finally, I'd like to present this year's Departmental Citation. This is the highest honor that we award in this department, and this year that prize goes to Stephanie Gutierrez Rios. As a transfer student, because our transfer students rock it, yeah. Stephanie arrived at UC Berkeley and will be graduating summa cum laude. That is a 4.0. Her exceptional academic record, her intellectual imagination are equally matched by her creativity and commitment to mentoring fellow underrepresented students at Berkeley, as well as high school students through Experience Berkeley Transfer. She's produced podcasts, given presentations, and just done so much. And her podcast, The Soul Wound, is just this beautiful, striking work that integrates research, interviewing, writing, editing, music, and narration. In addition to her activism, rooted in working class women and queer of color thought, makes her an ideal candidate for this award. Stephanie is passionate about ethnic studies, and we have all been enriched by the spirit and commitment that she brings to our department. Congratulations to all of our prize winners. You ready, Keith? Now I'd like to call up Professor Keith Feldman, who is the head graduate advisor and the next chair of the department, so that he can say a few words about the two recipients of the Outstanding Graduate Student Instructor Award. Keith?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. It's a real honor and pleasure to be here. We actually have 4 to give out. As you all know, GSIs in ethnic studies play an absolutely crucial role in the pedagogical life of our department. They serve as guides, leaders, facilitators, listeners, translators, problem solvers, educators who co-create enlivening learning communities with our students. And so it gives me great pleasure to recognize the recipients of Outstanding GSI Awards for both academic years 2021 and 2022. So first, Fantasia Painter, who unfortunately could not be with us today. Students describe Fantasia as, quote, well-prepared, an amazing lecturer, knowledgeable and approachable, super encouraging, and they highlighted her mantra, practice makes progress. I love that. Fan always provides down-to-earth feedback and holds her students to a high standard, driving them to reach for more and achieve more. Please join me in congratulating Fantasia Painter for this award. The next recipient of an Outstanding GSI Award for 2021 is Melanie Placencia. Students rave about Melanie's dedication and creativity in the classroom. Quote, she's an amazing teacher, very passionate, and she will work with you on anything you need. Melanie did a great job, another student writes, in creating a comfortable space for everyone to be themselves and create a community. Another student says, this course allows Latinx students to finally find a classroom where they feel comfortable enough to speak and actively participate instead of remaining silent. When asked what advice they would give future students who might consider taking one of Melanie's courses, one student says simply, quote, take it and embrace it. Congratulations, Melanie. So now on to our 2022 Outstanding GSI Award recipients. The first goes to David Pham, who also could not be here today. One of David's nominators writes, quote, David created a space in our virtual classroom in which I felt comfortable exploring Asian American gender and sexuality dynamics. Another student writes, David is immensely caring, inclusive, and compassionate. I grew in his classroom because he encouraged me to be an active participant. Please join me in congratulating David. Our final Outstanding GSI Award goes to Hector M Callejas. Students glow about Hector's approach as a teacher. One proclaimed, quote, Hector was amazing. All caps, 3 exclamation points. Another student reflected on Hector's welcoming approach to teaching Native American studies. This student writes, quote, previously, I'd never taken any sort of Native American studies classes, so I was a bit wary when I signed up for this class. However, I met with Hector during the first week to explain my lack of knowledge in this field, and he was incredibly understanding. He really tried to break down all of the concepts that may have seemed basic, but were actually quite intricate. He's definitely been my favorite instructor simply because of his passion for the subject and his empathy for his students. Please join me in congratulating Hector.
Whew. I'm a little out of order here. We get to make 2 doctors today. So, I'd like to call up Sherry Hundorf and Hector. How does Dr. Callejas sound, huh? Okay. Doctora Placencia, do you want to come on up? Right. I'm sorry, making doctors never gets old. Congratulations to our 2 new PhDs in ethnic studies. Keith, I think, you come up to master students.
So we also have 2 wonderful master's students to recognize with us today. The first is Sofia Juliana Chavez and Jaskira Kaur Hoti.
So you can both stand up. Yes, and we'll play. Yeah. The master's test is not easy, and they passed their master's exam, so congratulations. Okay, now I get to call up some of our very dedicated faculty who have the task of reading out the names. So Carolyn Chen, Lisa Harai, Tsuchitani, Christian Pais, and Victoria Robinson. Do you want to come on up? Yes. You say the names? I can think.
Okay, now the moment you've all been waiting for. Are you ready?
Ready. I'm ready.
Saya Ann Abney, Ethnic Studies. Cristina Isabella Acosta Navarro. Ariel Alba Pedrosa. Batul Saleh El Adla. Giselle Alvarez. Daniela Amador. Ariel Rita Amarkian. Melissa Jenny Arizola. Ashley Ayala Mendoza, Chicano Studies and Ethnic Studies. Manduhai Batar, Ethnic Studies. Moxie Isabella Batista, Ethnic Studies. Karina Buenrostro, Ethnic Studies. Zaira Itzel Campuzano, Chicano Studies. Damiana Cano, Ethnic Studies. Michelle Carrera, Ethnic Studies. Melissa Acela Cazares, Ethnic Studies. Camila Itzel Ceja, Ethnic Studies. Genesis Lizeth Chavez, Ethnic Studies.
Janie Chen, Ethnic Studies. Tommy Chung, Ethnic Studies. Yanira Cortez, Ethnic Studies. Danielle Cosmes Aguilar, Ethnic Studies. Caitlin Ronnie Detoile, Ethnic Studies. Aishwarya Georgia Essay, Ethnic Studies. Rosalind Faye, Ethnic Studies. Joseph Bray Felix Tapia, Ethnic Studies. Ashley Reyes Flores, Ethnic Studies. Daisy Melia Gamero, Ethnic Studies. Oscar Garcia Valadez, Ethnic Studies. Julio Gomez, Native American Studies. Michaela Malonzo Gomez, Ethnic Studies. Bianca Gonzalez, Ethnic Studies. Daisy Gonzalez, Ethnic Studies. Yesenia S. Gonzalez, Ethnic Studies. Stephanie Gutierrez Rios, Chicano Studies.
Elijah Chum, Ethnic Studies. María José Hernández, Ethnic Studies. Yarida Hernández Figueroa, Ethnic Studies. Diego Alejandro Holguín, Ethnic Studies. Metab Kaur, Ethnic Studies. Zoe Camille Keeler, Ethnic Studies. Talise Kim, Ethnic Studies. Tupo Motulalo Latukefu, Ethnic Studies. Ryan Thomas Lee, Asian American and Asian Diaspora Studies. Emilio Robert Licon Alvarado, Ethnic Studies. Yi Shen Asusa Lu, Asian American and Asian Diaspora Studies and Ethnic Studies. Jaylene Lopez, Chicano Studies. Giovanna Isamar Lozano Rico, Chicano Studies. Verónica Isabel Maza Gutierrez, Ethnic Studies. Leslie Andrea Mendoza, Ethnic Studies. Gun Ho Moon, Asian American, Asian Diaspora Studies. Jimena Yvette Ojeda, Ethnic Studies. Alexa Monserrat Rosco Palomino, Ethnic Studies. Maria Cristina Ortiz, Chicano Studies and Ethnic Studies.
Brianna Alexis Paz, Ethnic Studies. Kenny Italo Puriza Aurelia, Ethnic Studies. Good job, Kenny. Luna Ramos, Ethnic Studies. Samantha Michelle Reddy, Ethnic Studies. Jennifer Rivera Agumedo, Chicano Studies. Jocelyn Yayara Robles, Ethnic Studies. Whitney Rada Hutapaya, Ethnic Studies. Kaibeth Teresa Ruiz Gaitan, Ethnic Studies. Asia Koi Sai Chao, Ethnic Studies. Vaughn Ku Sai Chao, Asian American and Asian Diaspora Studies. Ronya Imod Salem, Ethnic Studies. Laura Denise Sanchez, Ethnic Studies. Jay Won Sim, Ethnic Studies. Alessandra Ostiana Suarez, Ethnic Studies. Annette Tameo, Ethnic Studies. Diane Valencia, Ethnic Studies. Kennedy Nicole Vega, Ethnic Studies. And last but not least, Edwin Antonio Veliz Ramirez, Chicano Studies.
Let me flip to the part, this is where it gets like official. I have to say, that special thing. First, let's just give them all a very big round of applause. We can make some noise, yeah. Okay. You ready? It's getting official. Here we go. You got your cameras? By virtue. Okay, so I have to ask all of the graduates to stand. All the undergraduates, right? Wait, what am I doing? Okay, I'm reading my notes. After the last graduate is awarded, they return to their seat. I ask them all to stand and ask the undergraduates to move their tassels. Yeah, so stand. We were doing it right the first time. I say cameras ready, and here we go. By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Regents of the University of California and the Chancellor, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Master of Arts, and Bachelor of Arts with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations! One more time. I introduce to you the class of 2022. You all to join us across the way at the Alumni House for a short reception. And for now, I ask you to remain seated while we exit the stage. Thank you all so much for coming.